Okay, we've got another little tip on putting happy ideas into practice from Kim. Kim, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. So Kim is the opposite end to Hans, though Hanslow have thousands of staff. Kim has just a few, don't you? So Kim, over to you.
Thank you, Henry. So I am on the level 7 MBA, Happy MBA, and I wanted to share with you something that I was able to put in practice. There are so many little ideas and big ideas, and I always know that I have to put something into practice when I get a big, like a sick feeling in my tummy that tells me, no, there's no way I could do that. And that fear tells me that this is actually something that would probably be really useful to do. So I want to talk about the pre-approval process. When I first heard about pre-approval, I was absolutely fascinated, but also terrified. What pre-approval is when there's a project, and rather than me, I'm the founder director of Rights4Girls, and rather than me deciding what's going to be done, telling everybody the kind of parameters, and then kind of keeping a really kind of close managerial eye on how it goes, and then kind of signing it off at the end, pre-approval is where the project's decided, and then I let go. And there's even no sign-off process. There was like no, so it really challenged my sense of responsibility, because we work with girls. So it felt very, I feel a sense of responsibility, but what lay behind that? Why did I want to challenge that it had to be me? And it was that I wasn't trusting people. Why wasn't I trusting people? Well, because I believed they didn't know enough. They didn't know enough. So rather than therefore holding on to the control, I realized that what I needed to do in order for me to trust was to share what I knew. So just to set the context, when we first went into lockdown, Rights4Girls lost all of our income, and we're really struggling. But what we do is we run small groups for girls, both online and in person, just guiding them through puberty, guiding them through adolescence, a safe place where they can share their hopes and fears and support one another and actually build their own internal resilience. We're working preventatively primarily, just to work against the really high statistics of self-harm and other mental distress in teenage girls. But in recent times, we've actually also been working in response to the massive increase in mental distress. And the way that we train our women is experientially. So we say it's much easier to give something that you've experienced yourself. So our training is that we run the sessions when we're training women, and they experience it as their child self. That's our model. It works brilliantly. Then we went into lockdown, and suddenly the weekend training that we had planned, it was a 3-day training for the next stage of their development. So we meet monthly with the girls for a year, and then we continue to support them right the way through their teens twice a year. And we needed to train them how to do these reunion sessions. But suddenly we're in lockdown. And it was at that moment that I heard on the Happy MBA about pre-approval. And I got that sick feeling, knew I had to do it, cast around, what could I do it for? And I thought, I could do it on the 3-day training course. So that's what I did. I just went to the people who were waiting for me to give them this experience and said, actually, change of plan. Rather than me showing you what we do with the girls, giving you an experience of it, spending 3 days analyzing what we do and how and everything you need to know, I'm handing it over to you. And at first there was a kind of shocked horror, because they were still quite new. So there was this sense of, really, you're going to let us? And I just made myself as a resource, so that in two respects. At the beginning, I gave a lot of time sharing what I knew, so that they knew what I knew. And once they knew what I knew, then they were free to create and to design their own reunion sessions. But I also offered myself as a resource when they were partway through or at whatever stage, that they could check in with me, not though to check that they were doing okay, not to check in. There was no sign-off process whatsoever. In fact, I said to them, I don't even need to see what you decide to do. I did suggest that they set up a kind of peer review, so that there was a kind of checking system, but that was just my suggestion. But if along the way they realized there was more they needed to know or more input they needed from me, then I offered myself as a resource, but certainly not as as the person who I had been to them, which is the person who kind of trained them, was really experienced, kind of had the answers, had a lot of wisdom and experience. And what the outcome was is, I think what happened for the women was that they got a greater sense of their own agency. They experienced their own expertise, their own sense of what they knew. There was a massive sense of achievement. And actually, when I think about it, that's the core of the work we're doing with the girls. We're wanting to give girls a sense of agency, a sense of their own abilities, and a sense of achievement. So actually, by taking it within our organization, and this is how we've always tried to work, and it is always the most effective, when we do what we want to pass on to the girls, then we're acting as role models, even though they might never know how those reunion sessions were designed, but the women who were leading them and who were sharing them, they knew, and that was coming from that place of ownership. They created that reunion session that they were then offering to the girls. So that was how we put pre-approval into process.
Excellent. And it worked well?
Yeah, and you know what? It started something off, because of course, having done it once, then within the organization, people, when ideas came up, rather than coming to me and saying, oh, we need to do this, which basically meant you need to do this, people now come saying, this needs to happen, and we've already formed a working party, and would you like to join us?
Brilliant. Kim, that is brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that.